Gary, would you rather Scott Brown played or didn't play?
I would rather he didn't play because he's a fantastic player, and as Gordon touched on there, Scott Brown has been a fantastic professional. He's had a fantastic career, and he's been a top player. And as Gordon says as well, he's very, very influential in the Celtic team. And when he plays, inevitably Celtic play really, 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 really well. So I would rather he's not playing, to be honest with you.
Yep. Can I ask this question to Gary, David? If you're in the tunnel and you're leading Hearts out or playing for Hearts on Saturday, and you look across and you see Scott Brown and you know what's got to come, would you rather he was there or no there as a group? I think you'd rather no have him there.
Aye, without a doubt. You'd be like myself, Gordon. When you played the game, I never ever went into a game and anybody I was playing against, whether it be Gascoigne, Loudrop, boys like that. I respected them because they were fantastic footballers. But when you're on the pitch, if you didn't believe that you're better than the player you're playing against, then there isn't any point in walking out the tunnel. But you're right. Scott Brown's influence on that Celtic team is massive, and he's a fantastic captain of Celtic. And if he's not leading them out on Sunday, I think that gives us a big boost.
Yep.
And what about his legs, Gordon? Now, if he is toiling later on in the game, how big a decision would it be to sub a cup final? How big a decision would it be to sub a captain in a cup final? What sort of man would do that to their captain? And I think you know where I'm going with that.
I think I do. I do, yeah. But we already knew that it was Lenny's last game. And it's a great story. Because we picked him because, one, he deserved, because he played all the games to get there, and he was playing well. And we played AC Milan a month before, and he played well against. But we played him in the cup. We had a kind of lapse about 4 games before we played games, but not really competitive. And we knew it was Lenny's last game. Most of us knew it was Lenny's last game. And then the game, we played Dunfermline, and it was 0-0. And Lenny was, he was struggling a bit. He wasn't influential. And I think the whole thing got on top of him, knowing that it was his final game, things weren't getting right. Then we had to make this decision in front of all these Celtic fans. Do we take off the legend or take somebody else off? And we've got to put Paul Hartley on, who Gary knows well, to give us a bit more running from the middle of the park. So we decided, and it had to be down to me really, between Gary Pendry and Tommy Burns and myself, we're going to take him off. And we discussed it. He'll not be happy, blah, blah, blah. Fans will not be happy. As a manager, you go, right, okay, let's go. Now, the problem is now, because you've got to, as Gary knows at hand, and you know it as well, Dave, you've got to walk all the way down there, from the steps, across the park, across the walkway, straight across, and it's a fair walk, and everybody can see you. And so I said to, so who's got to take him off then? Who's got to be the one who's got to walk down there and take him off and tell him he's coming off? I said to Gary Penzy, do you fancy doing it? And Gary went, no chance. He didn't even know me. So he says, I says to Burnsy, what about you? He went, absolutely no chance. They love me, and I'm not getting that tainted with taking him off. You're on your own. So I had to walk away down there, correctly, and off you come. And he was raging for a bit, but once he calmed down and once we realised we won, it was okay. It's no an easy thing to do when you're dealing with club legends like that. And people you admire greatly, but you've got to think of the bigger picture at times. So that was a great discussion between us three. Who's going to tell Lenny he's coming off?
So sentiment goes out the window. And will that be on Neil Lennon's mind?
There's a bit of mumbling going on there between the 40,000 Celtic supporters at that point. What is he doing again?
Is there no place for sentiment in the dugout, guys?
Oh, listen, you respect, and you feel what he feels. but you've got to do the thing. That's what you, in big moments, that's what you get paid for. You know, you just can't go along with the general consensus. You've got to do what's right at the time. And there's a bit unfair in asking Gary if he wanted to do it, and there's a bit unfair in Bonzi to do it as well. So we did it. I was only testing. I was always going to do it, but I was just hoping that one of the two might do it.
If I recall correctly, you just had a hip transplant, so that was very impressive that you managed to tackle the stairs. Well done.
That's right, I did. At that time, I had it was only about 10 days. That's right, I did, and I think that was my excuse for not going to it. My hips playing up once.
Cup finals are better with morphine in you, there's no doubt about that. Gary, what about your own cup final experiences? You've tasted some bitter times doing your cruciate and a heavy defeat, and then of course you got the chance to lift the cup when Hearts ended a 42-year Scottish Cup hoodoo, a 36-year trophy hoodoo back in 1998. Are these memories that will stay with you even when you get old and daft? Daft air.
Yeah, folk would probably say that about me at the minute, Dave, but you remember them, but you only really remember the ones that, you know, you got a bit of success. You know, I was gutted, obviously, I missed 98 with my cruciate, but I was lucky enough to be the club captain. I'd played a few of the early rounds, and although I lifted the trophy that day, you know, as a player, you always look at it and you go, you know, I didn't really play my part that day because I never played, I wasn't on the pitch. No, it's a memory that will live with me forever, but I would have been so much happier if I could have contributed during the game. And then obviously the Hibs Cup final, I was assistant to Paulo, and I felt as if, you know, I'd contributed to that. You know, I was heavily involved in the set pieces that season and helping Paulo with kind of the tactical side of things. And we scored a goal for a corner we had worked on all week. So from a coach's point of view, you know, that gives you great satisfaction. You know, Gordon will be able to tell you the same. You know, if you see something that you've worked on the training ground come off in a game to get you a goal, I was immensely sort of proud of that fact. So I felt as if I had, you know, I was more involved in 2012 and felt, you know, a lot more part of it, if you like, because I'd contributed something towards us winning the game. And obviously the team, the players, you know, they take credit for that. But they're the games that you remember. You know, I've been involved, obviously, St Mirren when we got beaten in the League Cup final, Scottish Cup final where Rangers hammered us 5-1 in that. And they're games that you tend to, once you've retired, you don't really want to speak about them because at the end of the day, you never won.
Do you feel sorry for the players of both teams? Whoever wins this one won't get the Open Top Bus Tour unless they do it on Zoom, because it was a hell of an experience for you back in '98.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't remember it. I was a wee bit worse for wear. So that was how,
You hit it well.
know, even that, you know, you learn from your mistakes. So 2012, you know, I made sure I only had a couple of beers on the way home that night, and I savoured that. You know, it was much more enjoyable because I could remember it. But it's like, you're right. It's a shame because if we do win the trophy, which, you know, obviously I'm hoping that we do, it's a bit different for a Hearts and Hibs player compared to a Celtic Rangers player because they get that option, you know, doing the bus tour of the city, and it's a fantastic experience, and an experience that, you know, I've managed to do twice, and it's unforgettable. And one, you know, I feel for Rangers and Celtic players because they're under so much pressure every time, you know, they play a game, and they didn't get that option when they win a trophy to go on a bus tour around the city because obviously I think they worry about a bit of trouble and what have you. So as a Hearts or a Hibs player, you know, we're very fortunate that if we do win the trophy, we get to do that. And you know, it's obviously different this time, but if we do win it, hopefully the Council of Edinburgh will maybe let us do it in the summer when we're hopefully back to normal.
Yeah, don't mention team buses in Celtic at the moment. It's probably not the right time to do that. Gordon, you've been in so many of these finals, a player with the Dons under Sir Alex and as a manager yourself with Celtic. When there's so much pressure around, so much tension, does the daft things happen? Do you see people doing crazy things?
I can't remember. Yeah, well, even the managers do crazy things. If you remember Alec Ferguson when we won it in '83, if anybody really wants a good laugh, go and have a look at that on YouTube. You know, you think we got beat 6-0, and we beat Real Madrid 10 days before and got beaten in the league by 1 point 7 days before. And when you look back, and at the time it was horrendous, you think, and there's great stories come for that day, but you look back at it now and you think, what was he doing? And I've actually spoke to him recently about it, and he says, have you still got that? Did you pick up your medal that day? I went, aye. You should be embarrassed.
He's sticking to his guns then.
He says, because every time I say, because at the end of the game he said, they were useless. McLeish and Miller win it. McLeish and Miller win the cup themselves, right? so every time I see Big Alec, you know what he's like at the side of the mouth, keeps going, you got that medal, I won you. No, I gave it away. So, you know, it's funny that you play cup finals, and over this lockdown period in the summer, that Scotland were showing loads of games for cup finals, and I was watching it and I thought, I can't remember me doing that. I can't remember that. But you can remember the nonsense that goes on at Sir Alex's time. I can't remember games. I can remember all the silly things that go on with it, you know. And that's where the memories come from, and that's where Gary is probably a bit disappointed himself, but no taking in the real memories and dealing with people rather than have a beer after the game. So the second time he got a chance, he took it all in, and you remember that kind of thing, and that's what stays with you. It's not the medal in your hand; it's the memories that you get from when you win these things, the stupidity and some things that people say and do. It stays with you forever. So when you're my age, you can recall these memories and still laugh at it yourself. So hopefully,
gentlemen,
we'll have great memories on Saturday. Now it might be, you know, it might be behind the scenes, but it might be. Let's hope the game is won by a wonderful goal, and we see the best of Scottish football.
And who's going to win it then? Gary?
Going to be Hearts.
Well,
I have a feeling you might say that.
That's why we're on here.
Question,
I'm going to go for Celtic.
Gavin Strachan's dad, who are you going for?
Me? Come on, do me a favour. I'll never get back into Muirhouse if I went Hearts. I wouldn't get back to Silverhouse Golf Club if I said Hearts. No chance. I wouldn't get in the golf course. I wouldn't show up again. But if Gary could do me a favour, if you're going by Muirhouse, Gary, if you see my mother, wish her happy Christmas for me, would you? It saves her.
I will do, God, not a problem. Not a problem.
From a 2-metre distance. She's liable to kick you, Gary. Sorry. She's liable to kick you.
She's the smallest person in Muirhouse.
Gary, Gordon, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the cup final. I hope your team wins.
Cheers, later, Gary. Good luck to you. Have a great
Cheers,
New Year,
Matthew.
See you, pal.
See you later,
Bye,
pal.
David. Bye-bye.
That's it from all the Football Pass. Bye for now.
How do you switch this off?
No idea.
Cheers,
Well
later.
done.